2020, aka the year that sucked.
You must stay at home.
However, Paramount Pictures did not know this when they dropped our only glimmer of hope in these dark times. That's right, I'm talking about a blue fast talking hedgehog saw. Oh my god, what is that thing?
Hey, you know we changed them, right?
Oh wait, let me check. Oh yeah, you're right, that's right, I'm talking about a blue fast talking hedgehog, Sonic. This feels much better. They also got Jim Carrey to play an evil mustache man named Dr. Robotnik.
I'm the donut lord, you son of a...
Our speedy journey begins with a blue hedgehog being chased by a man with a weird mustache through the streets of San Francisco. This blue hedgehog just so happens to be Sonic, the very hedgehog we met 30 seconds ago. He grew up on a distant planet far away from Earth, when one day he gets attacked, as he has a great power, and with great power comes great people who want to attack you. You thought I was going to say the other thing, but nope. However, his guardian Longclaw fends them off before sending Sonic to Earth with these magical rings. She then hands Sonic the handful of remaining rings she had before saying goodbye. 10 years later, we see Tom Wachowski, also known as Donut Lord, going about his day in Green Hills as a cop when his speedometer notices something going extremely fast, and it's a turtle. We then see Sonic go about his day, observing Donut Lord and his wife Pretzel Lady, trolling Crazy Carl as the Blue Devil, reading comics about the Flash, and hanging out with himself. However, despite all of this, Sonic feels like there's something missing, and that something is that he has no friends. Meanwhile, we see that Tom and his wife, Maddie, plan on moving to San Francisco so that he can finally feel like a real cop, instead of, chasing down turtles for speeding. One day Sonic sees a baseball game and decides to play a game of his own. However, loneliness takes the best of him, and Sonic accidentally erupts with a surge of electricity shooting out of his butt and wipes out the entire electricity for the whole of the Pacific Northwest. The government then hires Dr. Robotnik to track down the source of this surge, and this leads him to track down Sonic, who's frantically packing up all of his things and is ready to use his rings to go away to a distant mushroom planet. And no, not the one featuring a certain Italian plumber. But he doesn't want to really go there. Personally though, I don't see the problem. A planet full of fungi is just the dream. It's definitely better than living 5 minutes on Twitter. However, Robotnik is too close for him to actually escape, so he decides to go to Donut Lord's house, where he meets Tom, who shoots him with a tranquilizer. However, as he faints, he accidentally opens a portal to San Francisco after seeing it on Tom's shirt, and he also ends up dropping all of his rings through it, and it lands on the Transamerica Pyramid, because plot. So then Sonic awakens in a dog cage only to see that Robotnik has tracked him down to Donut Lord's house. Tom then helps Sonic hide and distracts Robotnik, who ends up finding out that Sonic is there anyways. This leads to a fight in the house, and Tom and Sonic are now fugitives from the law, and the two head to San Francisco. Along the way, they stop at a petrol station. Yes, I said petrol, deal with it. And Sonic gets distracted by a western themed bar. Sonic then creates a bucket list of things he wishes to do before he leaves Earth, and he ticks them off one by one. This eventually leads to a bar brawl where wait, haven't we seen this before? Donut Lord and Sonic then check into a motel where we see that Sonic has ticked off pretty much everything on his bucket list besides one thing, and that one thing is to make a real friend. The next morning, the two then continue their journey to San Francisco, where Sonic learns that Tom plans to leave Green Hills, and he is enraged by this fact. However, before he has time to process this information, Robotnik chases them down using a car that has a car inside of it, with another Segway inside of that car, with a drone inside of the Segway, which is inside of the car inside of a car. That was a mouthful. Sonic, however, is here and is unconscious, so Tom decides to take him to his wife, who is a vet, and is also staying with a sister who just hates Tom. And I mean, really hates Tom.
I hate it so much!
Maddie then manages to awaken Sonic using bath salts, and Maddie's niece Jojo hands Sonic a new pair of red shoes, making him finally similar to his video game counterpart. The squad then head to the building where they recover the rings and they say their goodbyes. And Sonic is ready to leave, but nope. Robotnik appears in his weird egg drones. Some could even call him Mr. Eggman.
Say that again?
Sonic throws Donut Lord and Pretzel Lady off the tower and fights Robotnik. He then uses the rings to send those two back to Green Hills, whilst he fights Robotnik across the world. No, literally, they fight across the world. They're in China one moment and then they're in Egypt the next. The fight eventually leads them back to Green Hills, where Sonic once again is knocked back down. However, the people of Green Hills stand up to Robotnik, and Donut Lord finally owns the name Donut Lord. However, Sonic still doesn't wake up, and it seems as though they have lost. However, Donut Lord says the F word. No cap, get out of here. It's not that F word. He says friend, and Sonic goes Super Saiyan. Oh no, wait, too soon. Sonic goes full power and knocks Robotnik into the mushroom world. Afterwards, Tom and Maddie decide to stay in Green Hills and take care of Sonic too. No, not that one. Meanwhile, on the mushroom world, we see that Robotnik has decided to shave his head and vows for revenge against Sonic.
Papa's got a brand new stash.
8 months after yeeting Robotnik to the mushroom planet, Robotnik is slowly losing his mind with Agent Stone, a literal rock. However, his insanity will soon be over as he gets attacked by some mysterious warriors, and out of one of the ring portals appears a red echidna with massive knuckles. Any guesses for the name? Knuckles hopes to take revenge for his kind by beating Longclaw's apprentice, and so the two team up, and this would definitely end well. Meanwhile, Sonic lives with the Wachowskis. He's a hedgehog by day, Blue Justice by night. He's the hero that we both deserved and needed. However, his heroism doesn't go so well. Despite stopping all the criminals, he ends up blowing up the sewers, and the next morning the Lord of Donuts takes Sonic fishing, where he tells him life lessons about being a hero.
It's about taking responsibility for other people.
Then Tom and Maddie head out to Hawaii to go to Maddie's sister's wedding, leaving Sonic in charge of the house for the weekend, and Sonic does about 15 different things in a few minutes, the dream of any teenager home alone. However, his fun is cut short as Robotnik and Knuckles arrive at Sonic's house, planning on taking revenge. Sonic and Knuckles fight, and Knuckles demands to see the Infinity Stones, Master Emerald, to which Sonic is confused, and Sonic is about to lose the battle, but he is saved by Tails, a two-tailed fox who arrived on Earth a few days prior in hopes of finding Sonic. He was also in the post-credit scene of the last movie, but I thought I'd save it for this moment. It turns out that Tails idolizes Sonic and he came to Earth to warn him about Knuckles, and we see this really epic car chase that ends with Knuckles and Robotnik teaming up to find the Emerald, while Sonic and Tails then head to Wade's house. Oh, by the way, Wade is a cop in Green Hills who's pretty well, how do I put this lightly? He's gifted, and he also becomes important later down the line. Sonic and Tails open a map which reveals a hologram of Longclaw telling Sonic everything about the Master Emerald. It is basically a really powerful ancient relic that will grant the user the ultimate power and gives them the power to bend reality to their will. It is also Longclaw's duty to protect this from the echidnas, and now that she's dead, it's up to Sonic. Sonic and Tails then use the map to find the Emerald, and the first stop is Siberia. But before we get to Siberia, Robotnik meets the real Agent Stone again and introduces him to Knuckles, and they plan on tracking Sonic down using his phone signal. In Siberia, Sonic and Tails enter a cabin where they're not really welcome, especially after Tails messes up translating. However, in order to survive, they must dance off against the boss or the dance-off leader. I don't really know who this guy is, but one thing I know for sure is that Sonic and Tails don't stand a chance against the real dance-off king, Bully Maguire.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
The following morning, they find the temple at which the compass for the emerald is hidden, but obviously Robotnik crashes the party. This leads to yet another chase, but this time down a mountain. And Sonic and Knuckles have this heart-to-heart moment where we learn that Knuckles had lost his entire tribe the same day Longclaw had died, and the two are about to share a nice moment, but is ruined by Tails, who is then knocked unconscious. Meanwhile, in Hawaii, Donut Lord's phone keeps interrupting Rachel's wedding, and it's Sonic telling him to use the ring that he gave him to return to save him, and so he opens the portal to save Sonic after a bunch of chaos. However, the second Sonic stands up to tell Tom and Maddie about everything, he gets captured by the Guardian Units of Nations, or GUN for short. He also gets captured along with Tails and Donut Lord. Also turns out that the entire wedding was fake and everyone there was just an agent, even Rachel's fiance. Then Maddie and Rachel use Tails' weapons in hopes of freeing Sonic and the others, whilst Rachel deals with her fiance. Meanwhile, in the middle of nowhere, Knuckles and Robotnik have used the compass to find the location of the emerald, and Sonic and the gang see this. However, Sonic feels guilty over hurting Tails and sets out to fight Knuckles and Robotnik on his own. Both parties have now arrived at the emerald at the exact same time, and this leads to an epic clash between Sonic and Knuckles, and the sly Robotnik decides to steal the emerald while Sonic is busy pummeling and then getting pummeled by Knuckles. Knuckles, upon seeing Robotnik, feels betrayed, but Robotnik doesn't care. He literally has robot in his name. I don't know what Knuckles expected. Robotnik then attains a newfound power from the stone and causes the temple to fall apart. This leads to Knuckles to get trapped and drown. However, Sonic arrives to save the day, and Knuckles is very confused as to why Sonic would do such a thing, especially after him getting pummeled. And Sonic says that's what heroes do. The two then decide to team up against Robotnik and stop him from destroying the universe, and Tails arrives on a plane just in time to save them. Robotnik, however, decides to go to Green Hills again. It's pretty obvious he hates that place, and he is then welcomed to Green Hills by Gun, Donut Lord and Pretzel Lady, but he has nothing to fear as he summons a giant freaking robot and decides to destroy Green Hills for good. However, our favorite trio team of primary colors arrive at the scene and work together to knock the emeralds out of Robotnik. Right as Sonic is about to get squashed by Robotnik, he merges with the Infinity Stone. He merges with the Master Emerald and becomes Super Sonic. He then literally bullies Robotnik with his powers and summons a hot dog made from godly powers. The trio then vow to protect the emerald as a team, and we then see the Wachowskis play a game of base of balls, and Sonic drops the D word. Again, Cap, get out. It's not that. He calls Tom his dad. And in the post-credit scene, we see that the Gun agents have uncovered a secret project known as Shadow. Since the last two movies did really well and fans were hyped for the arrival of Shadow, Paramount Pictures decided it was time for a third movie. But before that, they wanted to make a bit more money, so they made their own streaming service with their own original show.
You
because I know the way.
Yes, I do.
Do you know the way?
I know the way.
After teaming up with Sonic to beat Robotnik and vowing to protect the Emerald, Knuckles feels a lack of purpose, so he does what any normal echidna would do, and that is to get a dog to fight the mailman to death. However, Maddie just doesn't seem to understand the echidna way of life and grounds him. Also, Tom's not in this because they probably couldn't afford him, and Sonic and Tails are only in this for the first episode. However, grounding Knuckles won't stop him, and after getting advice from his tribe's elder, whose name I won't even try to pronounce, through a vision, he decides to help Wade to find his one true purpose. See how I said Wade was going to be important earlier on? This is why. It turns out that Wade's one true purpose just so happens to be becoming the world bowling champion by winning a tournament, but he gets bested by an 8-year-old girl who replaces him on the team. Meanwhile, there are also some real bad guys in this as well. These bad guys just so happen to be corrupt gun agents who plan to kidnap Knuckles and sell them to a mysterious buyer. Wade then tells Knuckles about his abandonment issues as his father left him in the middle of a store, but this sad moment is cut short by the gun agents Mason and Willoughby attacking Knuckles with a giant robotic fist, and they successfully kidnap him. Mason and Willoughby take Knuckles to a mansion to wait for the buyer, and Wade decides he must be the one to save his master slash mentor slash friend, and so he arrives and fights Mason and Willoughby and saves Knuckles, and the two become friends of sorts, but are however wanted criminals. So they head to the only safe place that Wade could come up with, and that is his mother's house. At his mother's house, he reunites with his mother and sister after 2 years, and he introduces them to Knuckles, and they have a nice family dinner. Oh no. The dinner descends into chaos, and the two siblings fight, and Wade goes into his room, which is when Knuckles finds out the real reason why Wade wants to enter the tournament. This is because his dad is the champion, and he just wants to reconnect with his dad, and to also beat him. And then a group of bounty hunters invade the Whipple's house, but they are stopped by the family, who Knuckles is now kind of a part of. The next day, Wade gets kidnapped by his former friend slash bounty hunter Jack Sinclair, and now he gets thrown into a cage as well. What is it with cages in this show? I genuinely don't know. Wade hopes for Knuckles to save him, but he doesn't. Instead, Wade gets a vision of the echidna's chief, and now the show is apparently a musical. But in the musical, Wade realizes that the true strength of a warrior comes from the heart, and he awakens from the cage and challenges Jack to a duel, which he wins, and now he's also cool. The family then head to where the tournament is happening, and Wade reconnects with his father, and apparently Wade and Knuckles aren't wanted anymore. Then Wade wins every game, leading him to face off against his father in the finals. But remember, there are also bad guys in the show. Mason and Willoughby then meet with the mysterious buyer who turns out to be a past employee of Robotnik, and he gives them a second chance to capture Knuckles. To Wade and his father reconnect, which his mother sees, and she warns him about his father and how he will betray him eventually. And to the absolute surprise of nobody, he does. And he sells out the location of his family to the bounty hunters to ensure that he wins the tournament. But the bounty hunters don't care about that, and they just want Knuckles. And Wade obliges, but Knuckles drops the F word once again. Oh, don't even think about it. Turns out that Wade was smart all along and didn't betray Knuckles because he used AirPods to warn Knuckles about the emerging threat. He then fights Mason and Willoughby and traps them in the void between the two rings. Meanwhile, Wade goes to bowl at the final against his father, who he now realizes isn't such a good guy. They're pretty much equal. However, on the last round, Wade's dad gets a spare, but Wade has a perfect game with a strike and wins the tournament. Oh yeah, remember the bad guy? He now becomes Dr. Octopus and attacks Knuckles. And Wade's victory is short-lived after Knuckles interrupts the celebration after being thrown into the wall. Wade goes running after him to save his friend, but the buyer almost takes all of Knuckles' powers. Wade then uses the robot Knuckles before giving a rousing speech to Knuckles about how Earth is now his home and how the family is now his people, and this awakens Knuckles, who uses the Fist of Fire to destroy the buyer. Wade then takes the trophy from his father and gives it to Knuckles, and the two celebrate before heading back home to get his knuckles toasted by Shadow. Also, remember the clap Sonic? He does come in Chip and Dale for like a scene as one of the Hollywood's rejected actors. That's fun. But do subscribe and comment below your favorite moment.